Delighted to say that defensive captain, two-time All-Pro, Fred Warner joining the show now. Fred, how are you doing, sir? How are you feeling coming off the back of the weekend?
Man, I'm doing amazing. We're back on track, coming off a big win against Jacksonville on the road. Kind of in a must-win game, like the situation that we were in. We knew we had to go in there, take care of business against a really good football team. So, feeling great, man.
We saw your reaction coming off the field. I think cathartic would be how I'd describe it. Is that how it felt?
Yeah, man, it was surreal seeing all those Niner fans over there in Jacksonville. The faithful always travels really well on the road and of course at home, but to see all those fans out there and getting them loud at the end of the game after a win like that, it was pretty special.
What do you described it as kind of must win for you guys, other than just purely a health perspective? What do you think changed over the bye week to come off that 3-week losing streak and then come out with such a dominant performance?
Yeah, you mentioned it, health, being fresh off the bye, but also just allowing that week to have some self-reflection, individually amongst everyone, players, coaches, everyone in the building, realizing that, we needed to do a little bit more in terms of not doing more outside of your assignment or, things that you're being asked to do, but, what kind of effort are you giving not only on the field, but, every single day of preparation. And, I think that reflected in the way that we played. I think the style at which we've always played at was present in this game, and that's why we were able to win in such fashion.
I think for me, and obviously as an outsider, a fly on the wall, a layman, I was watching the Bengals game and considering the way we normally watch your defense fly to the ball and just get to it so quickly, and it felt like it was a step off. And Jacksonville this weekend, I mean, every time they got past the line of scrimmage, there's 3, 4 guys around it. Did you feel that difference yourselves?
Yeah, and that was another part of it, of that self-reflection I was talking about. We weren't playing with our hair on fire and with the intention of getting all 11 to the football every single play like we've been accustomed to, and sometimes you lose that if it's not being addressed and talked about, and it was addressed, and so that's why you saw the product that you did on Sunday.
I saw you joke in the presser afterwards. The first question that came up was about having Coach Wilkes on the sideline, and you had a bit of fun with it. But like, did you feel a bit of a different energy at all?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a great addition to have him down there on the sideline. I think he obviously brought great energy. It was a seamless communication between him and I throughout the game, being able to make different checks, and I think he called a flawless game. Honestly, the way that he was able to switch it up on Trevor Lawrence and their offense, give him different looks. I think he was off till all game.
How's that pivot been for you? I mean, it's still young in your career, 3 defensive coordinators in the space of 5 years. How have you found that change this season?
Yeah, man. Every season brings new challenges, and I think having 3 different defensive coordinators speaks to how successful we've been on defense and how successful the organization has been for them, for Coach Saleh and D'Amico to go on and be head coaches in this league. And Coach Wilkes has been phenomenal. I think anytime you got a guy who's coming in and learning a whole new scheme, different from what he's used to, the humility of him coming in and saying that I'm going to learn what you guys are doing instead of him just bringing in whatever he's used to, speaks volumes about him. But with that, obviously comes some ebbs and flows throughout a season of kind of learning. All right, how are we going to call it? What's the personnel of the team to be able to, make sure that we're putting guys in the best position to be successful, and then of course us as players upholding the standard that's been set here for so long. And that's kind of how the season's gone.
There was an incredible moment, kind of end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth. I don't know if you've seen it. It's going pretty viral now, but you were as part of the moment. So when the Jags came out of the huddle and didn't quite know what the formation was, and you called out saying, "Hey, they don't know what they're doing," and we actually got a response going, "Essentially, you're right. We don't." Talk us through that moment, that play.
Yeah. No, that was funny when I saw the clip of that. But in the game, man, I mean, I'm at a point now where things are kind of like things move a little slower out there on the field, and so I'm able to kind of be present in the moment in times like that where, yeah, they're discombobulated about where they were lining up. It was late in the game, and I'm just having fun with them, trying to get them, a little bit more, I guess, anxious, nervous. I don't know, just saying, hey, they don't know what they're doing, and the offensive lineman, I forget who it was, heard me say it, and then he was just, I think he said it jokingly. I don't know if he was being serious, but saying they don't know what they're doing, but Yeah, man, it's just all fun and games out there.
Is it kind of weird for you that because we've got this technology now, the mic'd up stuff, the sideline mics and everything, that actually we get to hear those kind of little private moments that maybe you wouldn't have done in the past?
Yeah, man, it's a blessing and a curse. You gotta watch your mouth out there. You can't be saying something too crazy to your opponent, But that's of course would never be me. I'm speaking about others out there.
Obviously, of
Obviously, yeah,
course.
yeah.
It's felt like this season we've seen more than ever this kind of trend in the NFL towards a lot of simulated pressure, a lot of like really interesting looks from defensive, like coordinators are getting pretty creative this year. Is it often that when you go up against an offense, you guys do a load of that stuff, that you do see them come out not ready to go, or like you get those moments where you just think, right, we've got them here. I know that we're kind of set up to beat them on this play.
Yeah, I mean, you usually through film study, through preparation throughout the week, you can have a good idea of what you might expect in a game, but you're not going to know until you're actually in it. And it is cool when you actually do go over something all week. You see the look in game in a real life game situation, and they end up running exactly what you thought they were going to run, and happen to make a play on it. I mean, that's as good as it gets right there. But at the end of the day, you got to go out there, you got to read your keys as a defense and react off of whatever the offense is giving you.
I guess, I mean, we hear about it a lot. Like you see it from offenses where they talk about, they see like a matchup lineup, or they see like the look that they want to get, and they know where they're going to go, which read they're going to go to. Do you get that as a defensive captain then? Do you know like you've called the exact right play for a situation?
It's hard to say. I think regardless of whatever is called on the field, I think yeah, does an offense want to try and find mismatches and try to get the defense in a vulnerable position? Yes, but at the same time, I feel like we don't do a whole lot. I feel like yeah, we can do disguises and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, as long as we're executing the things that we do well, even though we don't do a whole lot, if we can execute them at a high level, it doesn't matter what the offense does.
Got to talk about Thanksgiving coming up, going on the road to a fierce divisional rival. I know, short weeks are always tough in the NFL, but is the fact that you have such a knowledge of that building, that rival, is that almost a benefit that at least your short week you're going somewhere you do know so well?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously know Seattle really well, and so I guess you can say that is a benefit. Anytime you play on a short week, there's always that disadvantage of time not being on your side, and from a health standpoint, and being able to get a solid game plan in. I think Thursday nights are all about whoever can take care of the football on offense, whoever can take it away on defense, and then limiting the penalties and just like the bonehead decisions, throughout a game. I think whoever plays the cleaner game usually wins.
Is it a place that you relish going? Do you have some favorite memories of playing up in that Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, I love playing there. Great stadium, great atmosphere. Seattle, their team has always brought a lot of energy, regardless if they're at home or away. And so that's one of the loudest stadiums I've been a part of. I think my greatest memory being there was in 2019, week 17, and Dre Greenlaw on the goal line, game of inches for the number one seed in the playoffs that year, and ultimately going on to the Super Bowl. That was a big moment.
I was lucky enough to be there for that game, and we actually hosted the game in stadium. And where our broadcast booth is right next to your upstairs coach's booth up there.
Mm-hmm.
And the reaction when the call finally came in and it was confirmed that he'd stopped him on the half-yard line, like I can't even imagine what it was like on the field, but up there in the booth, everyone went wild. So I think that's one of my favorite moments covering the game, to be honest. So must have been amazing to be in it.
It was, man, very special.
How does, in terms of that stadium, you've been to some special places in your career, but where does that rank? Like if you were to give like a top three, or to give like an idea of the best places that you've been, the most hostile, difficult environments?
Yeah, that's up there for sure. I put them in the top three, top five most hardest places to play. I'd put obviously Kansas City is a really loud stadium. I've always liked the Minnesota Vikings atmosphere that they have in their stadium, and I mean I can go on and on. There's a lot of good stadiums out there, but none better than Levi Stadium, I have to say.
Yeah, you have to say, and we love it. And I guess for you on the defensive side as well, that's when you're hearing the noise, when you get to be at home. And you talked about earlier Jacksonville. We've seen it in LA this year as well. The way those fans travel is just insane. It's so incredible.
Absolutely.
Considering it is Thanksgiving, I do have to ask. I already asked about one viral video, but are we going to get to see some pumpkin loaf in action on that Thursday night, considering it's Thanksgiving?
if George happens to bring enough for some of his defensive buddies, then I wouldn't mind getting a little pumpkin loaf myself. So we'll see.
Are you a superstitious man at all, or is that just like something if George is bringing it in, then you're going to get involved?
Not superstitious, man. Just a little stitious, about certain things. So we'll see. The pumpkin loaf is just more of a feel good thing more than anything.
Love it. You know what did blow my mind today? And you mentioned that 2019 season. I remember covering that Super Bowl, and when I was looking up stuff to come and talk to you, it's just that realization that you're only 26 years old and you've only been in the league for 5 years. I remember talking to you that week, and would never have thought you're a sophomore player. I feel like you've been in the league for 10 years, not just 5. So how do you reflect 5 years in on what you've already achieved?
Yeah, this is my 6th year right here, but it's been crazy, man. The ride has been one for the ages. I feel like I've been blessed enough to be a part of some really good football teams. I've gone through some adversity as well. It's honestly those hard moments that make you as a player in this league. And so I really love where our team's at right now. We've hit some adversity just like we always have and overcame that in a big way on the road. And not to say that we're not going to see some more adversity. We got to continue to find ways to win in this league. It doesn't matter how you win. It's just the result that matters. So, I love playing this game, man. I wouldn't want to be a part of any other team. It's been a great ride.
And the last thing I just want to talk about is matchups again. I kind of mentioned it earlier on, but because I think you, for me, are one of the best hybrid guys I've ever seen. Like, I always think, like, when we talk about those offensive lineups, they love to see their best guy line up on a linebacker. They're like, right, we know we've got a read I want to go to there. I never feel that when I watch you play. I see you line up against somebody on the other side, and I'm like, that's a matchup I know Fred Warner can win, even if it's kind of a top guy in the league. But who do you think are those toughest guys you face when you've had to go one-on-one with someone? Who are the guys who you're like, right, I know I've got a test on today?
Man, we got them right here in this building. Honestly, the guys I see day in and day out at the tight end position and the running back position are the best I feel like in the league at what they do. You talk about Christian McCaffrey and how great a season he's having, but I mean he's always been one of the best players in this league, and his ability to run the football and run routes as like a true receiver. Out of the slot, number one, doesn't matter where he's at. He's as hard of a cover, and I cover him every single week. When we do one-on-one drills, it's me and him. We know exactly who's going to be the first ones up, me versus him. So I'm always getting great work with him. And, of course, George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in all facets of the game, run blocking, pass blocking, and, of course, route running. I think people sleep on his route running ability and how explosive of an athlete he is off the line. So you got to make sure you're on point when you're covering him, or else he'd get away from you in a hurry.
I love that because I literally wrote down here, your offense presents some of the toughest guys doing that. Because I feel like you've got 4 or 5 guys there. You mentioned, CMC and George Kittle, but probably 4 or 5 guys there who can line up in any position on the field. They could be in the eye, they could be alongside, they could be out wide, and that they're going to present some kind of matchup. So I'm not surprised that's the answer you've given. It just means you can never leave San Francisco because you don't want to face them on the field on a Sunday.
That's right, and they don't want to see me either. So it's a perfect combo.
Love that. Well, look, best of luck for this weekend against Tampa Bay and for next weekend for Thanksgiving, carrying both those games on talkSPORT. So we can't wait to bring that to the UK public. Any message for the UK fans? We talked about how well San Francisco travel.
Absolutely, man. The UK, that obviously anywhere around the world, we're able to have an influence through our game, to the fans is big time. And so I love when I see fans from all over the world supporting us. We know that the 49er organization is worldwide, and we want to continue to put on the product on the field for them to be proud of. So continue to support, man. We appreciate it, even though you might not see it. It's always very much appreciated.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Fred. Really appreciate it. And hopefully we get a little catch up in Vegas in February. That's the aim.
Hey, that's the goal right there. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.